Welcome to the Black Sheep Props channel. I'm Steve, and I'm here to teach you the tips, tools, techniques, and materials for building your very own super cool EVA foam props. In last week's episode, making an EVA FoamViking Axe Part 2, we finished off our build, totally assembled it, all the pieces are on. Now in tonight's episode, making an EVA FoamViking Axe Part 3, we're going to go over sealing our axe, prepping it for paint, painting it with acrylic paints, adding a distressed feel by the way we paint. Very simple techniques. You can do this. It's going to jam. Okay, so in this episode, we're going to heat seal our axe. We're going to seal it with a spray so that we can paint it with our acrylic paints. So what we're going to start with is the same way last episode we saw heat sealing the axe handle. That way it tightens up the foam and kind of glosses over the surface to make it smoother. We're also going to do that, and we need that for painting. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our heat gun, and we're going to use our heat gun to seal over our axe head, because right now it's still dry foam and the leather strap is still dry foam. So what we're going to do is we're going to lightly heat seal all these areas on the head and on the strap so that it tightens up the foam and glosses over just like we saw it do with the axe handle. And then after we heat seal the axe handle and we tighten up the foam, then what we're going to do is we're going to bring in our Plastidip. And what this is a rubber spray. You can get it in different colors. You can get it in white, you can get it in black. I think you can even get it in other colors. But what we do is after we've heat sealed our foam, then we're going to coat it with our Plastidip. So it's going to put like a nice rubber coating around our prop before we paint it with our acrylic paints. And when we get ready to do stuff like Plastidip, the same way that we had to remember to use our dust mask with the Dremel, we have to now switch over to our respirator. Have to use a respirator when you're painting. Same way you have to use the other mask for a Dremel. And you can go to any hardware store to buy these, just read the label. I think these use organic charcoal filters, but just read the label, make sure you're buying the right one for painting and fumes. So definitely use your respirator for painting. And that's what we're gonna do today. Okay, so first up, we're going to get our heat gun going. Now let it get hot for a little bit, and you also want to be careful. Don't really cook any certain areas too much, because that can cause the contact cement to separate. So you want to hit it so you can see the surface changing, but you don't want to do it too much or it'll start to peel apart. So what we're going to do is we're going to lightly go across, and there I can see the surface changing, nice and light. Don't stay too long on one area. Very nice. Oh yeah. The same way we saw the handle tightening up, now we're seeing the axe blade completely tighten up. Look at that. Very nice. Sealed over, right along the edge, and along that edge. Very nice. We're going to get the top of the axe handle. There we go. We can see it all tightening up. The bottom parts of the axe head. Nice. Now we're going to hit our leather strap. Again, don't cook too long on any one area. Very nice. Okay, that's about it. Nice. Get the handle. All right, there we go. Beautiful. Smoother, it's stiffer, it's ready for sealing and painting. Okay, so now we're outside. You can spray inside if you want, but you have to have it well ventilated. So we have a spot outside where we set up a nice cardboard little spray booth on some shelves in the backyard. That way we don't have to worry about being enclosed in a bunch of fumes. But even though we're outside, we still want to use our respirator. You don't want to take any risks. So in an episode coming up later on, we're going to show how to build your own quick little spray booth. That way you've got a place to spray outside. Okay, so now I sound muffled because I have my respirator on, and you just want to spray nice even coats, just like that, back and forth. So that's it. Cover the top half. After a minute or two, the top half will be dry enough to touch, and then you can hold the top half and spray the bottom half. Okay, so we used our Plastidip. We sealed our axe. First we heat sealed it to get the foam smooth and tight. And then after we did that, we went outside to our spray booth and we sprayed our prop. Look at that. I'm sure you can see that, how it's nice and shiny. It's covered now in a black rubber. So now it is ready. We are on to the very last step, which is going to be painting it with our acrylic paint. So first 2 episodes, we built it, we assembled it. This episode, we've heat sealed it, and then we sealed it with black Plastidip, and now we're going to paint it with acrylic paint, and then pow! Finished, weathered, radical EVA FoamViking Axe. Okay, so now on to our final step. The kind of paint I use for all my builds is simple acrylic. You can get them from any art supply store. I got these from Michael's. We have Michael's near us down here. I also like to use these simple foam brushes for most of the stuff that I do. For some of the smaller details, I'll go in with the brush, but I use a lot of just the foam brush. Very cheap. You can get these from arts and craft stores. I also got these from Michael's, and I use the flat end and I just dab it in the paint and get most of it off, and then literally tap around just to fill in the color. Okay, so take a little puddle of paint, doesn't have to be that big, and then I take my little foam brush, get a little bit on the brush, drag it around, just start tapping on the blade. And if you notice, it doesn't completely fill in. You have little bits of the black Plastidip that you can still see through there. That's how you do. Just dab it on. And you just keep dabbing. And look at that. And notice how where 2 pieces of foam meet, there's a natural little black line left in between where no paint touches. That makes it look like the natural kind of like dirty crevice. Where the axe head meets the handle, and it's okay if you get some on the axe handle. We're gonna paint over that when we do the brown, so you can get all around the inside edge here. Nothing really kicks your prop up a level like painting. Looks great when you have it assembled. Looks even better when you have it sealed with the Plastidip, and then as soon as you start putting paint on it, it really comes alive. This is not completely covered. If you look at it real closely, you can see little tiny flecks of the black that you can see through it. That way it just gives it a little bit of dirtiness. It gives it a little bit of an aged steel look instead of completely covering it. Now that we have the first coat of silver on our axe head, what we're going to do is we're going to tape off right around the edge of the axe head so we can paint the handle. We're going to do the same at the top. We're going to tape around this edge all the way around this side of the axe head. So we're going to use some of our masking tape, and what this is a tape made by model painting companies. This is a Tamiya is the brand name. This is Tamiya tape. It comes in different thicknesses. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put on several pieces. What we need to do is just cover an edge, and we're just gonna take as many pieces as we need to go around the edge. And if you want to use something you can use to smooth it down on the edge, you can do that. Just fold it over. We're just going to put as many pieces around as we need on both the bottom and around the top. Okay, so now you can see how we have all of the axe head taped off around the edge. Now we're going to do the same around the top as well. Okay, so now we have our axe head taped off. So real brown acrylic paint. We're going to get a little bit on our brush. We're going to rub a lot of it off so it's not too wet. And we're going to start dabbing around the axe head. And we're going to cover over that silver paint that we got on there that we were worried about before. So we get in there as close as we can get. And it's just going to naturally leave a little bit of a dark edge because the sponge brush doesn't get into every little crevice. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to peel off our masking tape where we painted the brown. Beautiful. And we'll do the same thing at the bottom. All of our silver still left on intact. Very nice. Look at that. Okay, now that we have our steel axe head, our wood handle, now what we're going to do is we're going to end up adding a little bit of dirty, weathered feeling to the metal axe head. So what we do is we use the same brown paint that we used on the handle, but this time we rub it. We get most of the paint off. We get our brush really dry. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to start to kind of roughly hit around the edges of the axe. You dab a little bit and then you smear it off and it starts to get a dirty look. So what we'll do is we'll dab a little on here and we'll rub it. Now look at that, it's starting to get a dirty feel to it, and we just do that roughly. We don't follow any specific pattern, just hit the edges a little bit, rub it, hit a little bit here, add it up a little bit, and smear it. You just kind of get loose. Okay, look at that. Now it's starting to get that feel. Oh, look at that. Sweet. That's some weathering right there. Get it a little bit heavy in some spots, and then smear it around. We're going to smear on the edge of the blade, a little bit on the top edge here. Okay, there's one quick layer of weathering. Very nice. Bring in a new piece of cardboard, raw sienna, acrylic paint. Doesn't have to be a lot. Now we're going to go to a sponge brush again, but we're going to use a small one. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some on the brush, get a lot of it dried off. We're going to come in here and we're going to tap. And if you notice, what we're doing is we're not using the flat side because we might hit the handle. We're using the kind of the narrower side of the sponge brush. And just like everything else we've been doing with the paint, because it's a sponge brush, it doesn't get into the corner, so it leaves kind of a natural dark edge right up against the side of foam. So and we just keep going like that. And we will add some little dirt spots to the leather. Real brown. Smear it around. We want to get our brush pretty dry. And we tap it on there and we smear it around. Okay, little slight dark spots now. And this doesn't matter if you get it on the handle because it's the same brown as the handle. And look at that. All right, all we have left is the nail head down here and we're finished. Our silver, same silver we did for the axe head. So we're just going to use a little brush for that. Tap on the top like so. Now once that dries, we'll put a tiny little bit of brown on it just to make it dirty. Dry our brush off a lot. We're going to tap it on the silver. Very nice. Dirtied it up just enough to where it doesn't look like it's bright silver. And so, there is our EVA Foam Viking Axe. Okay, so that concludes making an EVA Foam Viking Axe Part 3. And here it is. Sweet. You saw how easy it was. You can do this. You're going to be able to do every one of our builds. It's that easy. Carved wood handle, leather strap, distressed iron head. Turned out perfect. Hope you liked it. If you did, subscribe to this channel and follow along with us because we're going to do a lot of super cool builds together so that you get the props you deserve. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.